Hi, my name is Ryan Strong, and I'm going to be doing the proposal for my Racer One mobile game. All right, let's get started. So, what am I doing? So, Racer One is a motorcycle racing game that puts the rider on the seat. This allows the player to go through and race a motorcycle in the game. What I decided to do with this game is I wanted to have it to where instead of it being like a lot of those other motorcycle racing games out there where you just pick a bike and you race through different tracks and courses and stuff, I wanted to throw a little bit of a twist to it and allow the player to have a little bit more choice. How I go about this is the player chooses how and where their stats go. So they're going to be able to have a bike. They'll pick from one of three different style bikes. As you can see here, the sports style, the dirt bike, or the police cruiser. And what they'll do with those is those bikes will have set stats to begin with. There'll be minor stats that they will have to adjust if they want to have any chance at the race. But what they can do is they can go through and they have a slider that will allow them to upgrade, their torque, their power, and their traction control on the bike. This gives the player a little bit more freedom to do what they want. Now that's going to be within limits because I'm not going to allow them to just take the sliders on all three and make a max. They're going to have a specific number of points that they can spend towards those, but this gives the player a little bit more freedom and hopefully make it a little bit more enjoyable for them so that they can go through and just have fun with the bikes. So, some similar games out there that I found that deal with motorcycle racing is Real Moto and Traffic Rider. With Real Moto, that's a game that when you started out, you don't have the bike that you see here on the picture. The bike that you tend to start out with is sort of like a Vespa or a scooter, and you go through and you race that around pretty decent sized tracks. Now, as you progress through and you complete races, regardless of what place you are put in, you get different benefits. You're given points that you can spend, and sometimes you're given actual gear for the bike, whether it's an actual gear or different tires and things like that, that you can actually spend to upgrade your bike. Traffic Rider, on the other hand, you don't really upgrade the bike. What you do instead with Traffic Rider is kind of like this picture here that you see. You see two tractor trailers, these two white ones in the front. What you want to do with this game is you want to get as close to those without touching them as possible, because you have this thing here called high speed that you can see on the screen, and it says 39.5 S. That S is for seconds. That's actually a countdown for you. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to race, as long as you can to gain as many points as you can. And the way that you do that is you would go through that small space that you see between those two tractor trailers. What that would do is that give you probably about 30 seconds added on to your high speed right there, which means you can ride longer. A little bit different from what I want to do, because I don't feel that it's necessary for me to have all those other vehicles, and I'm not trying to have people do dangerous acts. And with the Traffic Rider game, they have some pretty intense scenes. When if you crash, your character basically dies, and we're not looking at doing that. So we're kind of going away from that. The reason I think my game is going to be better, though, than these two is the fact that the player has more freedom and more choice to do whatever they want with the bike, as opposed to, well, you have to start with this bike and it only gives you these stats to start with, and in order to make it better, you have to race first. I don't want that. I want the player to have a little bit of choice in the beginning. So, my anticipated market. So, what I plan on doing with this is I want it to be for young teen to adult. The reason for this is it gives me a really good opportunity of having more people purchase the game and play the game, or however I set it up. I don't really mean purchase as in pay for it, but download the game. Monetization. So this is kind of a big one for me. My initial thoughts on the game is I don't really want to set it up to where people have to pay to download it, because if they're anything like me, I don't remember the last time I actually paid for a game on the market. I tend to go for those free ones because it's free. I can have fun with it for a short period of time and then move on if I'm done with it. So my thought was to do in-app purchasing. And how I would go about that is those points that the players are given to start with, they're only going to have so many points to spend. Well, if they decide that they want to skip the task of completing races to get more points and completing other things to get more points, they can spend money. And my projected thing here instead would be to have it to where they can spend 99 cents for 1 point, $1.99 for 3 points, or $5 for 10 points. I think that what will happen, most likely happen, is people, if they're going to spend money on points, they're not going to spend 99 cents on just 1 point. They're probably going to spend the $5 on that 10 points because it works better for them. It's more points and it costs less that way. Another thing that I thought about, and it's in here as a possibility, it's not a guarantee, but I was thinking of doing a ability to unlock future tracks sooner. So like if they have a track, when they're playing the game, they're not going to have access to every single track to race on. So what they can do is pay some money and it'll unlock those courses for them. This also can be used for if I were to implement some form of different color bikes or maybe adding different bikes in the future. All right, so what I need to build this game. So I'm going to be using a lot of free assets for the majority of it, but there are two main assets that I really need that'll help me tremendously with getting this starting and get it started and going. The total price for them is going to be $90 for the assets, but it's only two main assets. The first one is Easy Roads 3D Pro, and that's the image that you see on the top there with it looks like a track. That's not the only type of track that it allows me to use, but it's just one of the many that you can use. The nice thing about it is it allows for you to place markers around your terrain, and as you place those markers, it builds the track for you, making it so much easier and less time consuming, because the majority of my time will be spent on working out the kinks with my slider and all my point system. The next thing is the motorbike starter kit. That's the picture you see on the right. That one is only showing two of the possible bikes that would be in the game, but those are two of the bikes that will be in the game. The first one being the dirt bike that you see in the center, and then the next one, that police cruiser there to the left. Both of these cost $45 each, and they will definitely help out with getting this game up and running and ready to go. So my anticipated time, or how long I think it will take to build it, is probably about 3 months. That's taking, the first month for storyboarding and prototyping, then the second month going into the alpha and beta phase, and then the third month being the final part of the alpha of the beta phase and completing it in gold phase or release phase. The only other thing that I might need, and it's not a necessity, but it is more of a would like to have, would be an artist. And the reason for that is, we're only going to have 3 bikes, and they're all going to be pretty generic. So having an artist that can go in and make different materials so that I can have different colored bikes or things like that, that would help a lot. But it's not a necessity. Again, it's one of those things that's just, it would be nice to have. So is this something that I can do? I want to say yes. I have a bachelor's degree in game design. I worked very hard on completing my bachelor's degree in game design and have spent a lot of time working in Unity and in C#. As you can see, 3 years experience with Unity. I didn't add on here the C#, but I have that same experience with utilizing C# and designing games. I also have 15 years experience of time management skills and working with different programs such as Excel, Word, PowerPoint. While a lot of those aren't necessarily used, Excel will probably be pretty heavily used to work on my stats for the game. So I have a lot of experience in doing it, and I have the time to do it. So what do I see that could possibly go wrong? Now, we all know that life is not perfect, and there are times when unforeseen issues come up, such as the kids get sick or you get called into work for something and things like that. The easiest way that I see going about making sure that I don't run into those issues is to start early. Um, the earlier I start, the more I can get done and keep on working, you know? The other issue that I see is, what if there's a CPU issue? Maybe the computer crashes or there's something wrong with my computer. Well, the benefits to where I am at is I have access to several computers in my house. So as long as I save often and have backups in different locations, that should prevent me from running into issues. And that's where, Underdog is really going to come into play, because as long as I upload all of the work that I've completed constantly, and I don't mean just, okay, it's the end of the day, now I'm going to go and I'm going to upload everything, but after a few minor changes, update Underdog with my changes, then I should easily have a backup set up that I can pull from another computer should something go wrong with the computer that I'm currently using. So that's pretty much my game proposal in a nutshell. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. You can email me at strong9282@fullsail.edu, or pull me up in Skype, strong9282, and you can ask there as well. And these are some of the references for the photos that you saw in the game, or in the presentation, I'm sorry. And these are this is the last reference. And I hope you enjoyed my proposal, and have a good day.